Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus are here with me on the show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and come and join the football family. Share with your friends, and if you like what you see across all our social media pages, don't forget to hit the like button there as well. And if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. Lots to talk about. International football will dominate it, starting off with the sad news that one of the greats of our game, Ron Yates, has sadly passed away at 86 years of age. He was born in Aberdeen, played for Dundee United, won the second division with them, and then moved in 1961 to Liverpool. He spent 10 years in the red of Liverpool. And when he signed at Ruffy, Bill Shankly basically said to the people in the press, the man is a mountain. I want you to get into the dressing room and walk around him.
Yeah, there was a few quotes come out there, I think, when he signed him as well. I think Bill Shankly said to him, "You're going to be my 7-foot centre half." And he said to Bill Shankly, "I'm only 6 foot." And he went, "That's big enough."
Yeah, absolutely. 6'3", you're nearly 7. A colossus was how he described him. And I think so many people of that era remember him with great fondness, certainly around Liverpool, where he was an absolute legend, because Liverpool were a second division club. For the benefit of people of a certain generation who look at Liverpool now and see the Mo Salahs and the Van Dijks strutting about, Liverpool were in the doldrums. The stadium wasn't great, Ruffy, and they were in the old second division.
Yeah, and it was the building of a new era, and I think Bill Shankly said that he was the start of the rebuild, and also with Ian St John at that time. And, the amount of years it was there, he was just a colossal figure in that team, and I think every team down in England had somebody like that. But as far as Liverpool was concerned, he was there for years and years.
Yeah, absolutely. A legend, sadly, gone from the beautiful game, and our thoughts, condolences and prayers go to everybody connected with the Yates family and, of course, Ron's friends. A lot of footballers will remember him with great fondness. Thank you so much to so many of you who have been getting involved in our small competition, Ruffy. We're giving away a Ronaldo poster. I know it's painful for everybody, Alison, but the Ronaldo poster in his Portugal top. Your earliest memory of football. Ian McCulloch says, "Hi there, I think my first memory of football was when my dad took me to see Rangers versus Aberdeen on a cold, foggy Wednesday night. My grandpa worked on the turnstiles and I get lifted over. The thing I remember most was my dad shouting that Davy Robb did a dirty tackle," which Davy loved a tackle. "Seconds later, a man and woman in front of us turned round and said, 'That's our son.'" which is your worst nightmare at the time. But I don't know, I think you would have been too young, Tam, to get a lift over the turnstile.
Oh no, I'm far too young. My dad probably got lifted over the turnstile with his 3 brothers, but it was probably it's before my time.
Yeah, Ruffy. Honestly, that's exactly.
Yeah, you
that's
waited
what happens.
Outside. You waited outside until some gullible guy come along and said, "Any chance to lift?"
Gullible.
Someone would just say, "I'll get the road," and but if you never get lifted over at Firhill, I used to wait until half time came. For some reason, at half time the big gates used to open up, and anybody.
You'd wait till half time,
and everybody could get in. Oh, if I was going to get a lift over.
Who wouldn't give you a lift over? That's ridiculous.
Well, it just depends who you were asking, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it was the turnstiles, and obviously and then you used to sit on top of the stone barriers, and watch the game.
Magic. Thanks, Ian, for that mention. What are you laughing at, Ali? That's what happens. I know it doesn't look as if both of us could get lifted over, but we were small at one point. Wayne Feehan says, Pat Bonner's testimonial in 1996. I was going mental at the police on the way into the ground because the police officers in Horse Park were saying it was just being a bit aggressive to Celtic supporters, so he wasn't happy. That's his earliest memory. It's amazing what people remember of going to a game, things that stick in your mind. E.A. Miller says, my first memory of football was going to Rugby Park with, at that time, my boyfriend. Ruffy. There were no ladies' toilets. And by the way, we are still married 50 years later.
I was going to say, by the way, we're still not talking.
No, but that's some feat, isn't it? I mean, if there's no ladies' toilets and you're still married to her 50 years later, Ali, that's good going. Well done, E.A. Miller, for that. And Davey, who's a Hibby, says, my first memory of football was my dad took me to Hibs Rangers, Christmas Day 1970, Ruffy. And after the game started, I said to my dad, Dad, I can't hear the commentator. And everyone started laughing around me. That's a great shout from Davey. And the last one that's been, I'm going to read out here, Jay Carlin, who says, my first memory of football is 1970, all around about your time, Ruffy. My father bought me my first Celtic strip for my 7th birthday in May before going to see them play in the European Cup final. Soon after that was the 1970 World Cup, and that began my love affair with the glorious game. That's not bad, isn't it? Going to see them play in a European Cup final, that must have been in the San Siro. He saw Celtic lose to Feyenoord.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of great time for Scottish clubs run about there. They were all getting to semi-finals and finals, so that's something you remember for the rest of your life.
Ruffy, obviously the other thing about it, Tam and I like to, Tam scans this like I do, and we also, obviously we like a bit of a noise up Tam every now and then, and we take criticism, right? And then we obviously read out some praise. Don't worry, Ali, I'm not going to read out your normal catchphrase, right? But Les, who's very, I can't believe this, Les says, Ruffy looks well scalped.
Face,
or is it a reflection, or his face looks well scalped, or is it a reflection of his tracky top? I think we should be told. You're out now.
Sun yesterday.
What's happening? Was it the sun?
Sun yesterday, yeah. It was lovely for about 2 or 3 hours. Get the chance, why not?
Absolutely, Les. You've been a bit harsh on him. So the sun, but you had a wee night out as well, did you not? Did you not have?
I had a wedding on Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I had anything to do with it, but obviously the weather was nice yesterday, as you know.
Yeah.
It's sunny, I'm out there.
Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't phone me to say you were going on holiday. Portugal 2, Scotland 1. Should we be down in the dumps, Ali?
I think on paper it's not a game that you'd have expected to take anything from, but I think the manner of the defeat, the timing of it, and the fact that now adds to a start where they've lost, or rather they've won just one game in their last 14 outings, I think that casts a bit of a pall on where everyone is at the minute. I think it's been a very discouraging start, obviously, to the Nations League campaign, and a danger then, I think, that you then drop down into pot 3, which could make qualifying for the World Cup particularly tough. So, yeah, I think there were so many encouraging signs about the performance, but I think it gets lost in the bigger picture.
Steve Clarke said the players shouldn't be too harsh on themselves.
I think a lot of positives if you can ignore the results, but we're professionals, so disappointing to come out of 2 games where I feel that we played very well in both games and don't have anything to show for it. So, like I said, it's a level where the lessons are harsh, but it's important, and I spoke to the players about it in the dressing room, is not to be too hard on themselves. They're obviously disappointed, but they have to understand the work that we're doing, and I think if you look at the amount of time that we had to work, so in the summer was a back 3, we decided to change the system a little bit for these 2 matches, and I think you see that the players have done good work.
Mitigating circumstances, Tam, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think so. I think with the back 4, obviously, he's missing some key players. He's missing Kieran Tierney. I think we slot in probably. At left centre-back, he's missing Patterson and Hickey, who I think would probably play at right-back. I thought it was a lot of encouragement from the last 2 games, to be honest. I know everyone looks at the end result, which is 2 defeats, but you know, we're playing quality opposition now on the top pot in the Nations League. Portugal are a top-class team with some world-class players. I thought first half we were really, really good. We got the goal and we kept the ball at times, Peter. We looked a decent outfit. I think the first 10 minutes of the second half, we seemed to come out and sit so deep, and then they get the goal, and then it was only a matter of time, I think, before Portugal went ahead. It came late with obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think there's a lot of positives to take from it. Again, Billy Gilmour, McTominay, excellent. I thought the back 4 were really good as well, Peter. The goalkeeper, we'll probably speak about, Ruffy will speak about the goal that he let in, which he probably could have saved, but I thought he had 2 or 3 world-class saves after that. So, no, disappointing to lose the 2 games, Peter, but I think there's a lot of encouragement to take. There's certainly a lot more encouragement from those 2 games than I think there was from the Euros. I think we've played a lot better than we did then.
I think you're right. It wouldn't have been too difficult, to be honest with you, Tam. If anything, Ruffy, let's look at some of the negatives. I looked at the start of the game and I thought, it's still the same team. He hasn't changed it. So we're going with the tried and trusted. The game at the weekend I thought was there for the taking against Poland. And then on the Sunday, he started with the same team. I thought they played well. I thought it was great to get in front. They had little patches where they were penned in. Tell me as a goalkeeper what you make of Gunn's, the shot from Fernandes.
Yeah, I think the boys came out and said he's made a mistake, you know, that he just never judged it right. I don't know. It was somewhat similar to the first goal against Poland. I think he got there, but he didn't know what to do with it. He didn't have a strong hand to get it around the post. These things happen, you know, you make mistakes, and then you, as Tam said, later on in the game, he sort of rectified it a wee bit. But I disagree with Tam a wee bit. And I'd love Steve Clarke to elaborate on, there was a lot of positives out there. I didn't see any positives. I saw the positive that I saw was we are a fantastic team with 11 people behind the ball. I didn't see any. I thought it was a great goal, a very well worked goal. I didn't see anything. The first half we had no shots at goal. No, all we had was that header. The second half, if you want to tell me when we had another shot at goal, let me know. You know, we're an excellent team. If we score and we get everybody behind the ball, he's got them well organised, but I'm looking for a wee bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if I was being hypercritical, Ruffy, I mean, it's fine saying we played well. Steve Clarke, I mean, there are categories you can look at here. There are some people who are just not, they're in a category where they just don't like Steve Clarke for various reasons that I won't go into. That's up to them. If you look at him in the cold light of day as a manager, we all like him. I think we like him as a person, but the perception you get of him and the reality is a different thing. But you live or die by results, and one win out of 14 against Gibraltar is just not good enough. Mitigating circumstances are, we're in a league now where you're playing against a better quality of opposition, so you are, you really are tested. You really have to concentrate for 90 minutes and beyond. But we can't defend, and we can't score goals, and it hasn't changed. So for me, in that situation, if you are going to keep going back to the well for the same players, you're going to get the same situation time and time again, which is we can't defend our goal, Ruffy, even if, I don't care if it's the first minute or the 91st minute. You lose those goals, McKenna switches off, Ronaldo sneaks in, goal. Poor decision by the goalkeeper, whether he's late or not, lets it in at a time where we could have defended that 1-goal advantage. And again, even if we got on the front foot, you know, Dykes will be substituted at 70 minutes from now until doomsday. He can't score goals. A big lad who gives absolutely everything, can't score goals. And I think I feel sorry for the manager, because we are where we are because that's what we've got. There's no striker playing somewhere that's going to suddenly solve our problem. And I don't know of any defenders that are going to solve our problem, Ruffy.
No, I mean, I'm not being critical. Tam's hit it in the head, but not good enough to play in this league. That's the bottom line. All the teams that are in this group are far, far better than us. For me, when I saw that game last night, I don't know. I thought it was just backs to the wall for 80 minutes. I thought they just pinned us back and we never get out. We never showed any time we got.
We got out a couple of times, Ruffy.
It was 10 minutes in the second half. It was 10 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
We started to do something, but the part for that was just attack, you know. And Tam's right, if it hadn't been for Angus Gunn, it could have been 4. It could have been 5.
Yeah.
But that's the way. And the other thing, while I remember it, we get to Ronaldo scores in the 88th minute, there's 2 minutes plus about 8 minutes, 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we start throwing on players. Why are these players not thrown on 10 minutes earlier?
That's just going to...
Why are they not thrown
that brings us back to where we were before in the summertime.
If I'm going to be... I was trying to defend Steve Clarke there, and I think there is mitigating circumstances. I thought he should have made a change sooner in terms of the forward player. I thought Lyndon Dykes looked knackered after 50, 60 minutes. We'd no pace to get out. So Portugal's centre-backs were just playing literally 40 or 50 yards for our goal. And we looked up and we couldn't hit it in behind because Dykes is not going to run in behind. I thought he should have brought either the young boy Tommy Conway on or maybe Duk and just played them through the middle. And it gives us an out ball. See if you look up and you just dump it in behind them, you can get out. You can get out and you get up the park 10, 15, 20 yards and you can get a wee breather in. We didn't get a breather the whole second half, Peter. Ruffy's right. It was just incessant wave after wave of attack and the goal was coming because we didn't have an out ball. We couldn't have somebody to carry the ball up the pitch or we didn't have somebody running behind. So I think Steve Clarke, if I'm being critical of that, he should have brought somebody on with a little bit more movement and pace earlier than he did.
With the problems, Ali, you need a solution. There aren't a lot.
That's the headache. Even when you look at that starting 11 and you think how many people are playing regularly at club sides, and you think there's a few in there that that they're not getting regular game time. I think you would, in an ideal world, you would want to be starting a game against the quality of Portugal with players who are up to speed, who are playing regularly. I think you see that with mistakes that are made within the game, but that's a problem. Then you don't have an alternative. There's not really anyone else there that you can say, well, I'll go with X, Y or Z, because there just isn't a huge raft of options for them.
Yeah, I'll read out some of the points. Soul-destroying the last two games. Paul Beard says Clarke must go. Elsewhere, the odds of Scotland being in a pot 2 in the World Cup qualifying draw are very high. It would take Norway and Slovenia winning most of their games. And quite a lot of people, if Nations League is a friendly, says Andrew Kidd, we should be trying different players rather than getting the same mistakes from the usual suspects. We learn nothing from that. Andrew, I couldn't agree more with you. That's the one thing about it from my point of view. Ruffy, if you take, 10 goals in 17 games? Mm-hmm. Scott McTominay is... He's just a force of nature that he just goes on international duty and he's there and he scores goals. It's just an incredible set of statistics. Take him out of the equation, Ruffy. We couldn't hit a barn door from 2 yards.
I think in a plus point, we're playing against teams like Portugal and the bigger size and that, we're not going to open anybody up. The only way we're going to win games is free kicks or corners with the likes of McTominay, and well-disciplined at certain things, because we don't, you saw Portugal last night after they went 2-1 up. We opened up, he threw all the subs on and we started attacking them. These gaps started appearing and Portugal were running riot. They were finding gaps that weren't there before. So when you throw caution to the wind, that's going to happen. But, if the game plan was, OK, let's try and get a goal and then sit in and defend, you have to say they did that. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're looking for not to get beat 3, 4, 5 nothing, and that's the way we're going to play, then that's the way it is. But if you Tam will tell you, if you're playing in a team that's getting constantly bombarded, there's going to be a chance there's going to fall somebody and they're going to get a goal. You can't defend that long without losing it. Take Celtic as a perfect example. When they play at Parkhead, they've got possession of the ball and it's chance after chance. And teams might go there and defend particularly well, but something will break somewhere. Somebody will not do their job correctly and all of a sudden you lose a goal.
Yeah. Listen, I am always of the opinion you've got to try and look for solutions. I can't see any in the immediate future because even when you get to that situation, Tam, you've got to think who's in the pipeline. Sorry.
Listen, you're looking at the Scotland under-21s. They were decimated. I think they moved a few players up from the under-21s into the full squad. You're looking at that come into the team. But we need to we need a striker, Peter. Lyndon Dykes is what he is. He works hard. He gets you up. He gets fouls and stuff like that. But we're badly missing a striker and a Gareth Bale type, somebody with pace and athleticism that can get in behind and carry the ball and carry the team. But and we're needing our right backs back in. I thought Ralston was decent last night. I thought he seems to be a whipping boy. I thought he was decent again last night. So listen, it's one of those, Peter, where it's a poor result. But I genuinely thought that nobody really expected us to get a result in Portugal. I think most days expected us to get beat handsomely, and I thought we were competitive for a lot of the game.
I quite like the line there from someone who says, someone help Peter out. But I quite like your attitude to it is, let's just stand there and see if he's going to choke to death on air, which is quite good. Thanks for that, 1980. I really like you for that. And I like also, he says, Tam, rub Peter's back. Take his mind off his sore throat. Ruffy, if you don't expect to win it, which we didn't, surely we should be looking for the positives then.
I know, Steve Clarke came out and said there's lots of positives to take out of the game. It would be great if he went, right, here's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3 and number 4. If the positive was we set our stall up not to get thumped, then yeah, tick, well done, brilliant. You know, but there has to be more than that. There has to be, you know, some structure somewhere. You can't just go up against these teams and just sit in and don't try and attack. I know these teams are better than us and they pin you back. Very, very difficult to get out. But I never saw in last night. It was just a backs to the wall for me.
How do you solve it?
Well, no, on this level we can't solve it, you know, and you have to start, if he's going to start talking these dokes and everybody up, get him a game, goal, let's see what he can do. I mean, I'm saying Dykes isn't really doing it, and give Shankly, I know he's not playing well, but give him a shot. Give him a shot and see what he can do.
The problem is, though, if it doesn't...
See, last night I'm saying I was disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in any of the players. I don't think any of the players played badly. I don't think there was anybody in the team you could say, oh, he didn't pin a shift there and didn't do it. And I just think collectively it's hard to watch.
So on that basis, if he does try out other players and they end up getting cuffed, they'll be calling for his head.
Yeah, you're on hiding to nothing a wee bit. I think the problem is, there's a couple of problems, but the big one is there is no out-and-out striker, and when guys like Shea Adams are out, like, you lose an option. It becomes very difficult to change it within the course of a game. I also think the late goals are a killer. Conceding late goals has been a repeated frailty within the team. But also when you're on a sequence of results, as Scotland are now, where it's 1-14, the pressure builds with every game. It becomes, I think there's always a danger that players become a bit more inhibitive because of it, because of the awareness, the noise that then builds up around every game before the next camp. In October, you'll be asking that question. It's been 1-14. Are you confident of it? You know, there's a whole atmosphere builds up around squads. The flip side's true. When you're winning games, it becomes a bit. You know, you have that momentum. You have that habit of winning. When you're on a run like this, I think sometimes you just sense the apprehension, the lack of confidence within a squad and within players.
Yeah. One positive, I think, again, you know, from the opposition, Ronaldo, 901 goals. He's there or thereabouts. He came on. You had that look about him that you knew something was going to happen, didn't you?
Yeah, I think that when he came on, everybody thought he'll score the winner. And I think he ended up doing that. I think he's obviously a top striker. McKenna switches off. You know, I think it's hard to have that level of concentration when you're under siege for 90 plus minutes. I think there's going to be a time inevitably when you switch off and guys like Ronaldo punish you. They put that kind of ball in all night and defend it well. You know, Hanley and McKenna, that kind of just whipped in for the right hand side and the left hand side in swinger. They tried to do that all night, Portugal, and they dealt with it well, but on that occasion it just came through and he scored. But the thing I like about Ronaldo is, I've said it before, he's hunger to keep going. I think he's achieved everything in the game he can achieve. And you see him going on last night, and he's running about like he's 20, never mind 39 or whatever it is, 40. So, yeah. Top player.
I thought when he came on, they upped their game. I thought when he came on the park, the rest of the Portuguese players went, oh, he's on the park now, we need to start lifting this a wee bit, we need to start doing something. And see, every time the ball went wide, if you watch him, he's actually telling them where to put it, because I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
He actually, you can see him anticipating, look, I'm on the park now, this is the balls you put into the box, because this is where I score for.
I'll tell you the only other thing I noticed about the game, Ruffy, that, you know, as you can tell from my own point of view, players who moan constantly, you know, try and get free kicks in the middle of the park,
You at the weekend for Nicola?
for Fernandes. I mean, honestly, does my head in.
Yeah, well, that's the way he is. I mean, not everybody's the same. You get a player like that who just moans and moans. Everybody's had one in their team. It's okay when he's in your team, you know, because you just let him rabbit on and he'll pick up a card or something. But when he's in the opposition, it must be frustrating, you know, when he's like that.
I'd never get tired of kicking him, Tam. He'd be the first thing that I'd pick up.
He's just annoying. I think I just look at him and
He's not a United captain.
Nah, he annoys. I think he's a very, very talented player. I think he's a good footballer.
Yeah.
But he really annoys me when you look at some of the captains that Man United have had, the Brian Robsons and the Roy Keanes and guys like that, and you see him now. Maybe that's a part of the problem where Man United are at the minute, that he's leading your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, which brought me nicely to the top 5 guys I'd like to have a scrap with in the midfield, and he's one of them. See if you can guess who else I've picked, Ruffy, in there. Top 5 players that I'd love to
You'd
have.
want to? Every one of them would cement you on that list.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what do you want me to do? Pick weaklings? I'm picking 5 guys that you want to rate.
Big Roy Keane.
No, Roy Keane's not in my top 5.
Souness.
Although one of them's not really a midfielder, to be honest with you. In fact, maybe 2 of them are not.
Souness is one, yes.
Souness is one. That'd be a great scrap, wouldn't it? I always remember Souness giving that boy from Steaua Bucharest the tackle on his thigh.
I then got up
and then asked the ref to take a look at his sock. Souness would be great. Fernandes, I'd never tire. I'd pick a fight with Fernandes in the first 5 minutes.
Rooney would have annoyed you. If you were up against Rooney would have annoyed you.
Yes.
Yeah, he would be. He'd probably been there. Yeah, you would pick a scrap with Scott Brown, wouldn't you?
He doesn't want to say yeah because it's his fault.
You would, aye.
Yeah.
I'd cement him. I'd just cement Rooney.
Yeah. And
then run.
Gattuso.
Yeah.
I think Joe Jordan would like a wee scrap with Gattuso.
He was quite annoying, not just mouthing and thing, mean easy.
Stevie was good at noising people, that wasn't he?
He was narky.
And Ramos, and Vinnie Jones.
You better be a good runner there.
That's not a bad shout for a good scrap, isn't it? I mean, they liked it. What about yourself, maybe Stefan Adam?
I think he'd bust. No, yeah, I'd take him on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Those that you would love a scrap with, fantastic. So where do we go from there? Have we got any kind of level of optimism? Is it time for Steve Clarke at 1 win in 14? Is it time for Steve Clarke to say, right, I can't keep, saying that, they should hold their heads up high with another defeat. Is it time for him to, basically change that team and change a few key positions to change the way we're playing, Ruffy? Or are we just going to have to suck it up and say, we're going to be a defensive side, and if we steal one, we steal one?
Well, I think we're going to be defensive away from home. I mean, I'm sitting here just now. If you're looking forward to the Croatia game, I would say maybe 1-0 Croatia, maybe 1 each. I don't think they're good enough to turn us over and score a lot of goals, because we'll be defensive again and try and nick it on the break or something like that. But I think as the group goes on, I think new players have to start getting a shout, or the supporters are going to start saying why we're not seeing this new group that's giving you the enthusiasm for the whole squad. Why is none of them getting a game? Let's see what they can do, But I'm not for sacking them either, because obviously there's nobody else out there now. I think we're in a hard group. I think it's just above us where we are. But I think particularly at home, we've got to show the support that we've got more in us than being a right good defensive team.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, give us your thoughts on Scotland. Who would you change? Have you got a solution out there? Certainly, Lawrence Shankland was, for a little period of time, someone that everybody was looking for, crying out for James Forrest. Then all of a sudden, it was Ben Doak. Is it going to be Ryan Gauld? Is there someone else there that we're missing? Is it Tommy Conway? Is that the future? But we need to learn how to defend. We need to learn how to score goals, other than the midfielders who've chipped in. Give us your thoughts on that. Here's the news headlines.
Hi there, I'm Kerry, and here is your Daily News update on Monday the 9th of September, brought to you by Arnold Clark. Scotland boss Steve Clarke says that latest addition to the national side, Ryan Gauld, has been, if anything, patient after the midfielder earned his first call-up for Scotland.
you look for players that can maybe give you something else. So Ryan's been very patient. He's got his chance. He's got 2 caps now, and hopefully he can be part of the squad going forward.
On the women's show this week, Queen's Park boss Craig Joy says that his side aren't in the top flight just to make up the numbers after getting promotion last season.
Well, no, they're just to survive, to be honest with you. I think if you win with the mentality just to survive, then it's not going to work and you're going to come straight back down.
Hibernian Executive Director Ian Gordon admits that the club have learned from mistakes they made in the past, but feels now with a new structure in place, the club are in a much better position. For all the latest breaking headlines, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks to Kerry for those headlines. Lots of people offering possibles for the Scotland team. Maybe Lennon Miller has to come into that squad at some point. It's another midfielder.
Yeah, and you see it in other countries, particularly the Euros there. Some countries aren't frightened of throwing 17, 18, 19-year-olds in, if they're good enough, and seeing how they're going. I think we're at that stage now. There must be somebody out there who we've seen is worth a shout, and it might be the boy Duk.
Is he a defender?
No, you've not got any defenders. No defenders. The only other defender you've got, I would say, is Suter. You know, obviously Jack Henry, I think, does reasonably well when he comes in.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you know, I still don't think Tierney's a centre half in a defensive setup. I think going forward, yeah, great. But I don't see anybody else there. I think the squad that we've got is good enough to beat lesser teams.
Yeah, we need to find defenders, Tam, and we need to find strikers. And I don't know where they're coming from. So it's one of those situations. You can give us your thoughts on it as well. It's a tough one. Don't forget, we'll be, as the week progresses, we'll have the women's football show. We'll also have the journos, more on the football show from Ryan and Scott. And coming out this week, we've got head-to-head truth or lie between Ruffy and Tam, which is an absolutely fantastic game.
That was epic, by the way. That's worth a watch for Ruffy's questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fairly
wired differently.
It's a good premise, Ruffy, isn't it?
It is. I actually had to leave one of them out because it was just a wee bit risky.
A wee bit risky, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, suddenly there's a threshold in your patter. Anyway, I can't wait to see it, Ali, because it's truth or lie.
Can't wait to see that unedited.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course we'll put McGowan and Scott Allen head to head as well, and see who's going to come out and talk. It's well worth it. The journos, and let's not forget also, as we get closer to the weekend, we'll be back towards. Of course, the football in the domestic scene, because you love that, Tam, don't you?
Oh, international break's rubbish. I hate it. I hate the international break.
Yeah.
I think it's because when I was a player, I was usually off because I wasn't away with the Scotland team, so I usually get a week off. But I just like our own football. It's not great fun watching Scotland at the minute, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's not great fun, but at the end of the day, you know, you still support them. It's funny, actually. Here's a line that somebody said to me at the weekend. I was in his company. Big Rangers fan. And we were out on a wee night out, Ruffy. And he said to me, you know, in good times and bad, if you're a fan, you're a fan. You're a fan. So you can't have it all your own way all the time. He said that, you know, I've been a Rangers fan for decades, so I'm a Rangers fan. And I thought it was such a great line, because for people who support their team, it's in their DNA. You know, it's like, as Eric Cantona says, you know, you can change your wife, but you can't change your football team. You know, I'm not throwing that out for Fred to contemplate, Ali. I'm just saying you can't. It's one of those. It's one of those things where you can't
Contemplated it more than once.
Brilliant, Ali. But it's in your DNA, isn't it? So,
yeah,
you support them in good times and bad. Yes, it's not great watching Scotland at the moment, but it's because I think because I was a kid and supported Scotland and went to the matches and travelled to go and see Scotland, you just think, well, good times and bad.
I think there's more than just supporting your team or watching your team too. I think there's a whole social network that builds up round about it. You go to games with certain people, you go for a drink, or you meet after the game, you discuss the game. There's a whole camaraderie that's built up around going and watching games. It's not just about the actual 90 minutes.
I would hazard a guess that most of the Scotland supporters are Scotland supporters. I think Scotland is their team. I think a lot of them are not.
Not a club,
They're not a club.
They
don't go to Rangers, Celtic, Kilmarnock, whatever, or Hibs and Hearts. They support Scotland.
But can I qualify that?
They go to Scotland. They travel in numbers. They travel. They sign up for the packages.
Yeah.
So I would say the Scotland supporters are supporting.
Yeah, but they're not dimwits, Ruffy.
No.
The point I would qualify on this is I agreed with the gentleman I was out with. I've got a lot of respect for him. And I agree, it is. But there has to be accountability. And that's the point where it's coming very shortly. You know, we've got a number of people who are talking about, you know, yes, it is the nature. It's in your nature, it's in your DNA. But when you're not getting the results, it goes out the window. There's no point. You get slightly disenchanted with it. You know, as Tam mentioned, there's every right to say, I'm not going anymore. But it's still in your DNA.
Oh, the Scotland supporters I'm talking about will be there in their thousands in Croatia.
Yeah.
And they've signed up already. They'll have their tickets. They'll be looking forward to it. And, I mean, we saw them when we played Holland. Remember, Holland beat us 6-0. They were still there at the end, singing.
Yeah.
You know, they're supporters of our national team.
But I still think Steve Clarke must know that we are at that point where we're saying to ourselves, yep, Steve, there needs to be some kind of change in the strategy now, rather than us sitting in and defending Tam. I think he needs to blood some people. I don't know where he's going to get the answer. I'm always trying to think of solutions. I don't know where he's going to get the answer to find a goal.
Who's your next fixtures against, Peter? Have we got friendlies, or is it Croatia in the Nations League again?
I think it's Croatia we're up against.
You're playing Croatia, who are a top outfit, you know, and we've struggled against in the past. You know, again, looked at that kind of Euros before the last one, they beat us at Hampden. So listen, I think it's difficult to throw young players into games like that. I think you want to throw them into games that you're expected to win. But it could be that Steve gives players an opportunity. I think that's probably sticking in a few people's throats when they seen the team coming out last night. They thought, you know, we've just lost to Poland. Why is he not making any changes? But I think you throw a Ben Doak in or a Max Johnson into an atmosphere like that and we get tanked, it could really knock their confidence going forward. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Does he let the youngsters and maybe take a heavier defeat, or does he stick with his tried and trusted, Peter? It's up to him.
But it's away from home. Yeah, it's away from home. So you're suddenly saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, it's Croatia away.
It's Croatia away. It's a tough game. As I said, we're hoping to have a full squad, players available. But again, I don't think we're going to go there and open up and try and compete with Croatia in terms of matching them up 4-3-3 or whatever. I think Steve's got a way of playing which has got us to two tournaments, and I think he's not going to deviate away from that too much, Peter.
I would agree. I do. I think it's a fairly challenging start to the campaign. I think that's why the defeat to Poland will, you know, when you frame it from that opening
they're the
game,
team that we're probably on a par with.
I think it could become quite damaging as the campaign plays out.
So is it crucial he gets something from the winter games?
I think he's got to. I think he's absolutely got to. And I think even a point from Croatia, I think people would bite your hand off for it now.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. A point would be a good result, you know, but it's the home ones. I think the fans are going to either be with them or against them. You know, we've seen some boos at half-time, but at home, if you're not on top and you're going in 2-0 down, you're going to get a reaction, and that kind of reaction is just going to build and build. So it's important, I think, particularly at home, that we win our games.
Do you think it's important that he makes some real changes?
I don't mean real changes, I just mean give us a bit of fresh air, give us something new, give us the Brian Gold playing, give us James Forrest out in the wing, taking on people, creating things, putting things in the box. For Dykes, I mean, Tam will know better than me, a striker, you're not going to get delivery if you're not going to get service. It's a soulless task being up there yourself.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, give us your view on that. Elsewhere, Ali, well, we're all talking about football. Some people are arguing over whether Lee Carsley sings the national anthem or not. I mean, honestly, what a load of claptrap. Yes. In life, worrying whether a manager is going to sing a national anthem. Give me peace. Yeah,
I would agree with you. I think it's a nonsense. I think judge him by what he does on the pitch, judge him by his team, by the outcomes, but I think the hullabaloo over singing the national anthem is pathetic.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's going to be judged on the players, and of course he tries to protect his players. Whether he gets the job full time or not, who knows? But he's certainly happy with the 2 goal scorers, which is of course 2 players who I think had actually represented the Republic of Ireland at under 21. He's talking, of course, about Declan Rice and Jack Grealish.
Yeah, I'm pleased with it, but not surprised. I think they're both been in football long enough now to understand that, and respectfully that it was going to be a little bit hostile at times, but in the right way. I thought the fans were really respectful with it. I thought that they both handled the atmosphere as did the whole team. We tried to speak about, it's gonna be high tempo for everyone, not just Dec and Jack. But I thought, obviously it's great for them too that they've scored the goals, but more importantly that the team's won and they've kept a clean sheet.
How England are in the second group, I'll never know. They absolutely just bossed that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the quality they've got and the quality of the players they've got. They found it difficult where Scotland is just now in some of the games they played. So I don't think that's their level. I think they're better than that. Obviously, they proved that in the Euros. So I think they'll get promoted for that quite easily, and it'll probably be us going back down again.
Yeah, you're a barrel of laughs today, Ruffy, aren't you? What's that top you've got on by you? What's the top?
Underneath.
What's the top you've got underneath it?
Pull your zip down.
I see a
German flag.
Is that a there's a German flag?
It's a Euro thing.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well done, Ruffy. See, a patriot till the end.
Yes. Not totally against the team.
Yeah. I would hope not. I would hope not with 53 caps, to be honest with you. So England, they look good.
Yeah, first half, Peter, the atmosphere was brilliant. I thought the atmosphere was tremendous, and for they two to score the goals is unbelievable. It's it's the media dream. Those two scoring the goals, the abuse they were getting, and one celebrated and one didn't, which was interesting. I thought as well. I thought both should have just celebrated, the abuse they were getting. But yeah, I think that England are a cut above the teams that they're going to be facing at that level.
Not surprising that both of them decided not to run towards the Irish fans and maybe tug the jersey.
No, I think Declan Rice was a wee bit more conserving his celebrations, but listen, I don't mind players. If you're getting abuse, just go and celebrate, give a bit back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a couple of things to talk about that I want to get your thoughts on, guys. One of them is Ian Gordon has been talking exclusively to Sky Sports in an in-depth interview, and this is what he had to say on, of course, the need for experience in Malky Mackay, but on the situation with the sacking of Jack Ross. He talked about lots of other things at great length. I think, as my dad said, it was a mistake, and I view it in the same way. I think at the time it was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and lessons have been learned from then and along the way since then. I think having that senior figure like Malky is going to be a massive benefit. I think that's something we've lacked under young managers at the time. We didn't have that senior footballing experience. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I thought it was a great interview, Peter. I think it's been a long time coming. I think the Hibs fans want the board and the owners to be transparent in their dealings with the club. I thought they did make a big mistake sacking Jack Ross. I think when you look at Jack's record at Hibs, finishing third, getting to the Scottish Cup final, just got him to League Cup final. They were on a poor run in the league. I remember the game he was sacked, I was there. It was Livingston away, 1-0. The fans really, I think they turned on Jack Ross that night, and I think they buckled. I think Ron Gordon and Ian Gordon, the board buckled, and it was a knee-jerk reaction. They sacked him. They shouldn't have sacked him, and it's just been one disaster after another since then. I think Malky coming in is a massive bonus. I think he takes the heat off the manager. He can go and deal with agents and stuff like that. But I think it's good that he's came out, Ian Gordon, and the fans, whether you like it or not, they know what's happening. And I think there's lessons been learned. I think they're going down a different route now, Peter. They went down trying to sign young foreign players for money and then sell them on. That didn't work. I think they're now going to start to buy British again and have a Scottish, a British core in the team, which has worked obviously well for Hearts. So I think there needs to be a little bit of patience still with the team and the manager. But as I said last week, the last couple of games I've seen some shoots of recovery, and I think the Hibs will be fine this season.
Yeah, absolutely. You're taking a bit of stick on Twitter, by the way. You do your usual, although this time you decided to have a wee ding-dong, which is quite unusual for you to stay on Twitter after you've made a point.
No. It's handbags, Peter. It's social media, as you know. And I might have had a couple of drinks when I seen it as well, so I've probably reacted.
Recipe for disaster,
Yes.
may I add to you.
Yes.
Never have a drink while you're on the Twitter, because it kind of skews your balance on it all. Roughly, Twitter is something that people actually, it's like a poison platform where people go and make an opinion, and then all the dafties come on and beat you over the head with a baseball bat. Just thought I'd explain it to you.
No, I
in
do
a
read
sentence.
them. I do read them. I don't obviously take part in them.
Ruffy's a troll. He's probably on. He's Twitter. He's on. He's your Twitter troll.
He's got a name
Adam.
tag, but he never posts anything at all.
No. Just a picture of a wee egg in it. It's not even got a profile picture in it.
Yeah. Ali, you're not a big fan of that kind of a social media
No, not really.
noise up?
I find it quite a toxic environment.
Yeah,
Twitter.
absolutely. It's like walking down Buchanan Street and finding out that 90% of the people hate you.
Yes, thank you.
No, but I'm just saying that's the best way to sum. It's the best way to sum it up. You know, they're just waiting.
Ruffy should have a Twitter. We'll make one up for him.
Hey,
You want a Twitter, Ruffy? We'll get you make one up for you.
No,
Put your points
take me
across.
ages to type in.
Yeah,
I'll be there all day.
by the way, if I get, are you playing tennis? Yes, that's good enough for me, you know. Anyway, yeah, so you were heartened by what he had to say. Do you think that will, in his answers, do you think in a way it's kind of a played into David Gray's hands to get some time?
Yeah, definitely. I think that was the crux of what was coming out. And it was a great interview. He was asked various questions about everything, Peter, and I think the Hibs fans will be happy with some of the answers and not so happy with some of the others. But I think they're going to stick with the manager, Peter. I think they realise that changing the manager every 6 months, a year is a recipe for disaster. It's not going to. There's no continuity at the club, and I think that they've got to stick with David Gray. They've backed him. They've signed, I think, 11 players. They've got Malky in. Just let them get on with it now. They've got a run of games coming up, starting with St Johnstone at the weekend at home, where they can go and start picking up points and get up the table.
Yeah. Do you share the same belief as Tam that the Hibs could, with the way Hearts are going at the moment, could suddenly become the force in Edinburgh?
No, I'm not convinced yet. I know Tam's saying they've improved, but they had a dodgy start. You know, I think they have to go on some kind of run to get the support back in full. It's a tremendous stadium when they're doing well, and everybody's right behind the team. So wins against St Johnstone and that are what the fans are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it'll be interesting to see how they develop and whether they have truly learned those lessons. Obviously, results suddenly can make you seem like a visionary, Ali, at boardroom level. As long as the manager keeps winning, everything's rosy in the garden.
Yeah, I think obviously that when there's not winning performances, then there's always a lot to cope with around about a club and around about a manager. But I think particularly for Hibs, when you look at the context of the recent seasons, they need a period of stability. You need to stick with it. At one point, you need to say, this is the decision, this is the strategy that we have, and we have to try and implement it and see it through. And we've spoken about this extensively. Theory and reality sometimes are very, very different, but I think at Hibs you've got a bit more time. It's not quite as intense as what it is at Celtic or at Rangers. I'm not to dilute it at all, but I do think you've got a bit more breathing space. Crucially, what I think people need to see is that it's going in the right direction. You need to see something that you can say, I believe in what the process is. I can see what a manager's trying to do. I can see a philosophy and an identity throughout the team, and I think if you have that, you can buy a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, for all the doom and gloom, Ruffy, that's surrounding Rangers, there's some nice words from Silvino, you know, the former Arsenal fullback, who's now the manager of Albania, who says the new boy, Nedim Bajrami, certainly played well. He thinks he's a real talent. So that's someone that Rangers can look to, you know, when he gets fit enough to play.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that, you know, when players come in we don't know a lot about, they always find somebody who thinks he's wonderful. You know, I've never ever seen an article where some guy saying, oh, I know him, he's rotten. Have you?
Yeah.
A past player saying, I don't know why you signed him.
Yeah, but if he puts in a good performance, that's I think sometimes you can usually an agent I know I'm looking at him.
Rangers fans, do you watch him?
No, I don't mean him. I don't mean him.
I hope he might be a decent
I don't
player.
mean him. I just mean other teams sign players and all of a sudden somebody finds somebody who played with him and they don't trash them. talk them up.
No, but I think sometimes, you know, I always treat with a certain amount of disdain anybody who turns around and says, oh, this is the new this is the new that, he's a brilliant player. When they're signed, the proof in the pudding, Tam, is when you watch a player. But if he's played for Albania and he's had a good game and the manager's been really positive about him, that's a good sign, because, you know, you look at the last 2 or 3 weeks for Rangers fans, it's been negative, you know.
No, they're desperate.
Apart from the Ross County win.
They're desperate for somebody to come in, you know, and lift the team. I think that you look at, you know, in the forward areas, I think that Dessers is your main man. I think you're needing somebody to go and supply him. It could be Bajrami. And listen, I think he's obviously played well. They've a big outlay on him. Peter spent money, you know, just towards the tail end of the window. They've paid money for him to come in, and the Rangers fans are hoping they're needing a hero. They're needing somebody to come in and take the pressure off of Dessers in terms of scoring and creating goals.
And the good news is Duk's back. We were going to start a campaign, the search for Duk, but he's back, Ali.
That's an interesting one. I think there may be a story there somewhere.
Well, of course, the story is if you don't come back, FIFA's saying you're not going to play anywhere.
Absolutely, but it'll be interesting to see just what kind of reception he gets.
Pelters.
From the Aberdeen Sport. Well, we have a young reporter in Aberdeen who was delighted that he was back, that Duk was back. So I don't know if he's representative of the fan base, whether they'll be particularly forgiving. I think most people, you would be asking questions if one of your players went AWOL for the first month of the campaign.
I'm going to get up to Aberdeen at the weekend, Ruffy. You know, I like to go and see all the teams in the Premier League, because I think you get a more rounded ability to form an opinion on teams if you go and see them in the flesh.
Yeah, there seems to be a buzz up there just now.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking a flag with you. Everybody seems to have a flag.
Yeah, maybe I'll maybe not take a flag this time. I have to say, I did say to when I was talking to my Rangers pal at the weekend, and I was saying there was a time, Tam, and I know it was not in your, maybe not as much in your lifetime, but there was a time when supporters of Rangers and Celtic would go up to Aberdeen and think, "Be great to get a draw here."
You know, I've seen the clips of Fergie and stuff like that, and even Jim McLean when he was at Dundee United. I mean, it just seems like a totally different era. I can't imagine it now because it was before my time. But yeah, getting up to Aberdeen and happy with a draw. You never see that now with Celtic and Rangers. Just expect to go up to Aberdeen and win, but totally different times, different budgets back then. Probably more an even keel in terms of paying money. And now the gap in terms of the money that the clubs pay is enormous.
Oh, it's fantastic. Ruffy, I mean, honestly, when we were talking about it, it was such a great chat the other night there about, I know it sounded like a bygone era, but United had Sturrock, you know, United had Dave Neary, Paul Hegarty, great players in their side. Aberdeen, as you know, you could rhyme the whole bloody team off. But Hearts had a great team. You know, Hearts had Henry Smith, Craig Levein, Sandy Jardine was playing for them, Gary Mackay was there, Sandy Clarke, John Robertson. You know, they were absolutely great to watch.
It wouldn't have been that era that you're talking about. They would have, Dundee United and Aberdeen would have at least 5 players in a Scotland squad each.
Yeah.
There'd be 10 in a Scotland squad of Aberdeen, Dundee United players.
Yeah.
That's how good they were.
Absolutely. And all of them easily would have got lovely Ralph Milne, faster than a speeding bullet. You can't lie. Ralph Milne, who would probably have been nowhere near a Scotland international squad, was a crucial part of that Dundee United side. A great player. Didn't quite work out for him at Man United, amazingly. Listen, a couple of people have sent us photographs. I did ask on the app, if you download the app, you can go to contacts and you can download photographs and you can also record a video, Ruffy, because obviously some of the great memories of their first football match, we're going to give somebody a nice little prize. But we did ask for Kenny, who's out in LA, if he could send us a photograph, because we wanted to get a wee swatch at what the Kenny, the Aberdeen fan, was like. And this is Kenny, I think, on his anniversary. And there he is with his wife. And I think it's fair to say, Ruffy, Kenny's punching well above his weight. Is that fair? Kenny's out there. And those shorts look as if Tam's giving him them. Is it shorts or is it chinos? I'm not sure. But Kenny's a big fan of the show. And we're delighted that he watches us on a regular basis. But he always likes to put across the Aberdeen line, which is great.
Yeah, it's good. That's why expats watch the show. They want to see how their teams are doing, and we give everybody coverage.
Yeah, and Andy as well is out there and Andy was at a function where I was at. So he decided to get a wee photograph, just showing you some of the people. Oh, this is Gary, sorry. And there's Gary. At a function I was at, Tam, it's always good to get photographs with people.
Green tie, so you're probably welcome at that function, were you?
It was a Hibs do. Yeah, take money off anybody, to be honest. And the last one, I don't know if... here's Stuart McKinnon, who sent this in at the weekend.
Yeah, I know Stuart from Twitter.
Do you know him?
Yes, I know him from Twitter. I think he lives in Sweden.
Well, Stuart sent us this photograph, and the reason why I'm putting it up there, Ruffy, he was there with I think it was his kids, at the Man United game.
Oh,
and by the way, did you see Rooney's goal?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I'll tell you what, that was a very good Celtic team that was out there in the team playing against them, ex-players.
Absolutely. I mean, these things, you get lots of fans want to go and wallow in a bit of nostalgia, Ali, which I think there's always a platform for it. But Rooney, slightly portly, he's done a lot for troops who maybe carrying a few extra bits, but if
you're younger than Ronaldo,
your touch never leaves you, Ali. Okay, your touch never leaves you. And Rooney.
Which one are you most?
Ali's wanting another Ronaldo poster. Like sounds it.
Which one are you most like?
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Oh, the eagle, Ronaldo.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you one thing. I mean, Tammy finished it with some aplomb, didn't he?
Oh, brilliant!
Right in the post, like right in the corner.
Aye, I mean, I seen some of the stuff, and I don't think there's. The last play to do it was about 2 or 3 years ago. So a direct free kick at Old Trafford, and then Rooney comes up and just goes bang, fag the mouth, top bin. There you go. But
yeah,
listen, you never lose. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're shape or you're in shape or you're 40-year-old, you're 60-year-old. If you've got it, you've got it, and Rooney's got it.
Absolutely. I don't think many of the United fans who were there, Ruffy, would have known whether this was Berbatov, still fit or not fit, because he never really moved when he was there. He just floated through games with unbelievable skill.
Yeah, I mean, as Tam said, you can see obviously the games, there's not that many tackles going in or anything like that, but when you give these players that amount of room and skill that they've got, that's what you want to see.
Listen, Ruffy, if it was me, asking for a lift over or paying to get in to see a game, I would always go and want to go and see players who have got good technical ability and can, play little triangles, good football, win games. And that brings me nicely to Duk Lopes playing against the Scottish Press, Ruffy. There's the boys, there's the trophy. We played them on Sunday at Falkirk Stadium, and there's a few well-kent faces in there. John McDonald of Rangers still strutting his stuff, Ruffy, with Jerry McCabe. They're easily in their 60s. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. The Mooney brothers and Derek Holmes, Big Del from Hearts. Homer. Aye. He was absolutely magnificent. And it was great to see so many of the boys get together. And that's Brian from Glow, whatever that programme is. But he's got
still got Celtic tattoo in his leg.
Yeah, don't mention that. It's not his finest moment. But he's got unbelievably shiny teeth. They were drafted in before the game kicked off. But we beat the Scottish Press, which included
any names you want to mention that were in
included our very own
losing team.
It included our very own Patrick, and it included one of our former employees, Adam.
No way, he's beat Adam. He must have been shit. How is he in a big park?
Raging sand dancer. Simple as that.
Yep, thought that. Couldn't give it the big one about 5 sides and futsal and all that. Big park.
Gone.
Different for a big park, son.
15 minutes, Ruffy. Couple of wee flicks here and there. Nothing. No penetration.
Worse than Gabs at the fives.
Yeah.
Cycling shots, that his headband and all that.
Yeah. By the way, it was one of these. Ali, put your hand out, Ali. This was the end of the game. When I was. He was raging by the way, Ruffy, but there's no substitute for experience and technical ability, Ruffy.
Yep. Keep a hold of the ball, let the runners do the running, and let the people with the skill just spray the passes.
Absolutely. Anyway.
You're not going to milk it though.
No, I'm sending him this video right now.
New profile pic tonight on his Facebook.
Anyway, apart from anything else, we love talking about football. Thanks to so many of you for sending photographs in. If you download the app and you hit contact, you can actually record a video on your favourite team. We're going back to, of course, the weekend Scottish Premiership. We'll look at that in greater detail. Don't miss, I think we're going to try and release it tomorrow or maybe Wednesday, Ruffy's head-to-head with Tam.
Oh,
Truth or lie. Ali, it's just absolutely priceless.
It was as if I was on our planet listening to his questions.
Yeah, the two...
Mental.
The competition is going to be superb. And then...
That one of the questions.
Yeah. Wednesday, we'll have Ryan McGowan, who's really come out of his shell, Ruffy. Ryan McGowan and Scott Allen.
Maybe Wednesday's his day, not Friday.
Yeah, no, Wednesday is his day. Okay. Wednesday is his day with Scott and, of course, Tam there as well. And let's not forget Women's Football Show and the journals to look forward to as well. Lots of content, unique video content, and our reporters are going to be out covering all the press conferences. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to download the app. From Tam, from Alison, from Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for listening and watching.